On this episode of Star Trek Universe, some alien flowers blow their loads into our faces, and it makes us feel real nice. You guessed it. Also, you read the title of the episode. We're talking about Star Trek 126, This Side of Paradise, right after these sweet, desperate beckonings from a pleasantly thick, spored-up blonde in a green jumper. Get it, Spock?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Welcome into Star Trek Universe. We are continuing our watch/rewatch of Star Trek, the original series. I am David C. Roberson. I have watched and rewatched.
I was about to say, I am Effie Ophelders, and I have just watched. I have not rewatched, so don't steal my half of the.
I wanted an extra thing that I did.
I mean, you deserve that credit, I guess, yeah. You have put in the years and the effort to deserve at least those two extra words.
That's right. Memory Alpha synopsis. The Enterprise crew finds happiness at a colony where alien spores provide total contentment.
Peace and contentment, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a different one. Yeah.
Okay, how did you feel about this episode?
I had fun. I enjoyed it. Like, the resolution is a bit lackluster, but I like the... I mean, I enjoy seeing Spock happy for once. That's fun. And I had some slight disagreements about this week's episode of what makes humanity tick and the whole you need a drive, you need to struggle, god damn it, you can't be happy. Just imagine not having to work for anything, you lazy pieces of shit, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. I have some issues there. But it was interesting.
Yeah. It's like a 1968 TV episode, so feels a little anti-hippie, honestly.
Mayhaps that context wasn't front of mind for me yet, but that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Like,
can't just sit around being high, god damn it.
Kirk is so strong-willed it doesn't even take it first. And the rest of the crew gets hopped up on plants and get real happy, abandon their responsibilities. But if they're all happy, some of them for the first time, poor Spock.
God damn it.
So I'm just wondering, like, the spores are healing them, protecting them from the harmful radiation.
Yeah.
Like, what is exactly the harm in staying? Like, Spock has never been happy before, y'all. Isn't that sad?
Yeah. That was fucking depressing at the end, where it's like, oh god, you've never been happy. Like, not like even for him, I would imagine that, the service and the purpose in his life like gives him a sort of contentment at least. But the way he phrased it, it was like, oh boy, it's not just you haven't felt joy. It's just, no, you're God, you sound deeply unhappy with your life choices and the society you're stuck in that makes you, have to swear off all of the, fun things in life, I guess.
Is that what they were doing? Is making you get? No, all they were doing was fun times.
No. I mean the Vulcan side of him that has taken over the rest of his life, like his regular life, being the life where he has to have sworn off things like love. It was a sad episode for him, but yeah, I was also sitting there like, what is the issue with people? Like, why do we need to free these colonists from, I guess, being healthy? And okay, and not needing to struggle to survive. Yeah. Like, they're not fully abandoning their responsibilities. Like, they're still feeding themselves and the group. They're just not expanding. They're not colonizing the entire planet and making it a giant garden like they've set out to do. Like, there isn't the expansionism. There isn't the eternal growth myth of capitalism where I'm like, this sounds like paradise. This sounds good. Yeah. The only way to make this problematic is if you like up the way the spores are intertwined with their personality to beyond like, oh, we're making you happy and we're protecting you. But like, if that crosses the line into The Last of Us zombie territory, where it's like, oh, they've lost all sense of self, but they just seem fine.
Yeah.
They still seem like themselves, because they can still also respond to stimuli that are intended to anger them. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those where I'm like, I'm not sure everyone did the right thing in this one.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Layla Kalomi, man. I mean, logic is logic, but damn.
Sure. Yeah, no, that is inhuman restraint.
Spock is the smartest dumbass I've ever seen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If someone falls into your arms and tells you she loves you, and your reason for not reciprocating is, I shouldn't, I guess. There's just, like, we all know the motherfucker is not actually incapable of having emotions.
Yeah.
We know he's, like, if there is genuinely not an attraction or no...
Oh, no, there is.
...interest, but there is, and we can see that as soon as he is set free just by, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not quite the character he's been for all of his life, but it feels morally questionable, at least, to go like, oh no, we need to revert him to his depressed self.
Yeah, it's so weird to consider how much Spock tries to sacrifice, but I feel like, you know, based on his conversations with Christine Chapel that we saw earlier this season, it's like he's trying to protect her. He's like, I can't give you what you need because
no, exactly.
I've got all this childhood trauma.
Yeah,
all this Vulcan shit.
That is pretty much it. But he packages it as, I can't give you what you need because I am incapable of showing affection and I don't feel love and that sort of thing, which is blatant bullshit because he could. He's just never worked on that trauma or done any, like, he's prohibiting himself from doing that.
Right.
Ultimately.
Well, he's chosen the ideal of his society, of his father's society.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and they think showing emotions is repugnant.
Yeah.
So,
which is why you should never listen to your dad when he says you shouldn't cry.
Oh my God, that is what it is, isn't it?
That is basically it is both daddy issues and you're a man, you can't show emotion. That's the Vulcan society to an extreme.
Oh, I never thought of it.
It is the repression of, yeah, you're welcome.
Oh my God.
I am so sorry.
No, that's brilliant. I've never thought of it. I've never thought about it.
Like, if it had been his mother, that would have changed the dynamic. But I don't think it's entirely coincidental that he wants to follow his father's footsteps more than his mother being a teacher and a kind-hearted woman and someone he could apparently never tell that he loved.
Yeah.
Because, you know, his daddy would have gotten pissed for that soft-hearted bullshit. And that feels real. That feels like something some boys go through. Many of them.
Yeah. So you expressed some problem as far as considering the the ethics of what they did here.
I would like some more grappling, at least, with the morality of making people literally less happy.
Right.
In furtherance of some ideal of humanity that is Kirk's perception of what it is to strive for shit. Like, is that integral to being a human? Are they no longer human? Like, if they were literally taken over by the plants and but it seems symbiosis at best. Like, they're taking care of the plants. That's how the plants survive. That's really all that's happening. The plants are not, you know, making them Last of Us zombies. It's just seems fine. It seems like nature has reached an equilibrium here, and then culture comes in and fucks it all up.
May I introduce another problematic concept that will make it
Go
even
ahead.
worse.
Ooh.
There's a line here. You said they were benevolent and peaceful. Violent emotions overwhelm them, destroy them.
Yeah.
With their hatred, they decided to massacre
The spores. Yeah.
so many spores to break all these people free. How much civilization are you killing?
Yeah. Yeah. If we're taking flora as also a form of life, then we're just being dicks. And it goes to show that the show then again relies on this notion of, violence and anger is a useful tool instead of maybe an issue we should deal with as humanity. It's not maybe part of our ideals.
Yeah.
It does result in another fun scene of like, let's insult Spock to his face and see how he responds. But I feel like that's the only reason they came up with anger. Anger should do it, like in the cage.
Yeah.
Except that was more warranted and also had a practical use that was more defensible, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like a retread in some ways, and exactly the kind where I'm like, is this better for humanity? Did we improve these colonists' lives? No, we resettled them to a place where they had to put in more effort for less results, I guess, and fewer happy moments. Because you gotta.
Especially
it wasn't as if they couldn't appreciate the happiness anymore because they didn't have the low points in life. No, they were just happy. They were just doing fine.
Especially
and
considering...
Kirk couldn't see that childlike innocence and be okay with it.
Yeah.
Some of his trauma.
I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, right? The spores made them immortal.
Basically, like if it regrows organs, I am fairly certain you were going to be okay for a long while.
Yeah, this is the terrible idea to break this spell. This is a terrible, terrible thing that Kirk has done.
It seems like the only context in which immortality is actually okay. And not a thing that will make you want to kill yourself after a couple 100 years.
Also, if this was a story about, like, an anti-drug story, they gave a terrible message to the children. They're like, you could be really happy and immortal. Or...
Yeah. Or struggle.
Struggle to, quote-unquote, achieve something.
Yeah, get by, aka survive. Yeah. Oh God. But you'll have the contentment of having achieved that barely getting by and survival on your own instead of having been handed it. Because God, imagine just being handed a basic living wage. That would be gross. You gotta deserve your right to have food and shelter and shit.
That's right.
So it's the American way.
With all of their happiness, they would say, like, they're like, oh, what are we supposed to do? And Layla Colomi's like, whatever you want. And so I've just got to assume these dudes, they just be like, Layla, would you let me come on your face today? Like, well, do whatever you want, Professor. And I'm
if it
surprised.
Seems fun to her, but she seems very smitten with Spock. So
yeah, sure, but Spock ain't been there for 3 years, man. Come on.
That is fair. In those 3 years, you would expect a couple more kids to be running around.
Yeah, I think, or maybe they've just never had the gumption. They've just all been too happy to.
That could be it. There's just no. You need that anger, that sexual drive to conquer. Yeah. Well, I don't know what masculine bullshit this is, but there's probably some toxic explanation for why they wouldn't immediately go fuck. But
in my experience, that attitude has always come from women.
Also very possible, but she also doesn't seem to be all that interested in that aspect per se.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, it was the 60s. They weren't going to show...
That's fair. Her telling him she loves her is probably as much of can we bone now as you can do in the 60s.
Yeah.
But still.
I've always taken the Spock climbing a tree scene as a bit of a metaphor. That wasn't really what happened when Kirk and crew showed up. He did say, "I told you to come," and he was like, "I didn't want to, Captain." But he was.
But
not
you did come, didn't you? Oh no, sorry. That's
yes. That's where I was heading. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What did you think of this line? Spock said, "I have never understood the female capacity to avoid a direct answer to any question."
God damn it. That is not exclusively female, I assure you.
It's not. It's not.
Oh my goodness. That is just, sexism, because it's logical at that point in time. Long live the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I'm terrible with it. Someone will ask me a direct a question, and I'll be like, okay, well, first of all, let me just say. Like,
Yep.
like, what had happened was, like, I have so much to say, like, and then I forget well before I ever answer the question what it was.
I think that's how we fill up the minutes on this podcast, where it's like, well, I want to answer your question, Dave, but let me first head off on this tangent and then forget entirely the topic of conversation. Which episode were we reviewing, etc.?
Yep. It's a great show. Tell your friends.
Mm-hmm.
I love how Spock is basically just a little boy here, and he tells Layla, "Emotions are alien to me. I am a scientist."
Which is clearly the antithesis of God damn it. Yeah, no, those two are opposites. Clearly, it is impossible to be a scientist if you are emotionally involved. I mean, there's some truth to that in the respect that many people in the exact sciences don't quite have the humanities background to acknowledge their own subjectivity in the matters that they research, but it's not black and white.
Mm-hmm.
You can still state some things with a relative amount of certainty, and I did like a lot of lines between Spock and Layla, especially when they're back up on the ship. Just the self-made purgatories line.
Yes.
That's just good stuff. We all have to live in the mine can be no worse than someone else's. Yeah. I'm not sure it's true.
And as he's saying that,
it says so much about him.
He's literally like wiping a tear with his thumb.
Yeah.
From her cheek. Like, oh God. I cried a little bit.
I get that. And because it is acknowledging in a way that it is a self-made purgatory. Yeah. And he knows he has the choice not to, but he has to deal with who he's been for most of his life. Mm-hmm. And of course, the reveal is very fun that he has a first name that we cannot pronounce.
Yes.
Delightful.
Absolutely. How did you feel about McCoy's accent change once he got high from the spores?
Oh, right. He suddenly went. I was mostly weirded out by the whole Jimmy Boy thing, and I couldn't place the accent change much further than just, he's being weird. But
yeah, he just become an old country doctor.
Seems to be, yeah.
It was just like a real southern accent. Well, who wants to counteract paradise, Jim Boy? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that helps. Yeah, no, it is very much it suits the environment too. Him and his drink, just laying back. Yeah, oh, good time.
I love McCoy. I love that when he gets compromised, he goes back to his roots, and he's just like, "I'm an old Southern doctor, by gum."
Yep.
Let's see here. What have we got? What did I write down? I love there were a lot of great lines. I love Sandoval saying, "We don't need you, not as a doctor," and he goes, "Oh no, would you like to see how fast I could put you in a hospital?" And then one of my favorite lines of any show ever, McCoy says, "You better make me a mechanic, then I can treat little tin gods like you." Oh my God, dude. I love that line so much.
I almost forgot that one. Wait, what is the context again?
Oh, that's when the machine on the Enterprise is making everyone mad.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's just that's still an easy way of pissing everyone off, but it was fun.
Yeah,
I don't know why it had to be like, oh, we're all gonna fist fight now. Besides, fun to shoot. Oh well.
Mm-hmm.
But that also, like, I feel because that is an incident of Sandoval asking him to do something useful to be reassigned into some position. So like they're not all skipping responsibility unless you want to make Sandoval into like he had to get angry before he wanted anyone to do anything, which is also weird. There is just a bit of it really comes down to the concept of we have to fight for every bit of freedom or whatever we eventually get. Like it's
weirdly implies
it's dark.
It weirdly implies that you can't if you are happy you have no ambition.
Yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah, because it also immediately implies that to have ambition and to follow up on those ambitions, you have to continually be unhappy with the result and the outcome and strive for more and for better, because God forbid you ever are just content with what you did. Like, that's a dark view of life. That is very much I can give up now, or I can spend my entire life making stuff I kind of hate and then trying to do better and still kind of hating it. And I don't know. I hope to have a better outlook than that. Jesus.
So Jerry Saul had originally written the script for this, and according to Dorothy Fontana, the episode had to be seriously rewritten because Saul had not quite gotten it right. Gene Roddenberry told her, "If you can rewrite this script, you can be my story editor." She thought about it and eventually realized that the story wasn't really about Sulu, who was in the Spock role. It was a Sulu love story. She realized it wasn't about Sulu, but it was about Mr. Spock.
Yeah, okay.
And I agree. I'm sorry, Sulu. That needed to be Spock.
But it makes more sense. It ups the stakes a lot because, like, I know Spock gets more screen time and development anyway, but this is an integral moment to have, and it is a legitimate excuse to have him break out of his shell for once. They shouldn't do that every other episode, of course, but it is interesting.
Sorry.
Was Sulu even there? Like,
I don't think so.
I don't know. No, fair enough.
One of the basic aspects that Fontana immediately changed was Saul's original conception of the spore plants residing in a cave. Thus, to avoid the danger of the plants, the crew merely had to avoid the cave. Fontana put the plants everywhere around the planet and later on the Enterprise.
That last part was a bit hand wavy, where like, oh no, they brought the plants aboard and now they're just everywhere, and the ventilation system. Like, once they got the ventilation system, but that was a scene later, I think, where it was like, oh, not Kirk explaining why everyone is infected. Before that, I was just like, oh, they beamed up the plants. That seems dumb. Wasn't there anyone who, was still not infected who was like objecting to that?
You would hope, but
nah. But it's also it's I didn't know her name was Dorothy. I knew she was a woman. She was still DC. Yeah.
So Jerry Soule was unhappy with Fontana's rewrites of the script and credited himself under his pseudonym Nathan Butler.
The petty move. This is not my story.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I don't know. From what I'm hearing, I think DC Fontana did it right, and
yeah, seems like she improved some stuff.
Cleaned up a piece of shit. I
don't know what the piece of shit was before, but
All right. Well, what else do you have? You have anything else? Any more thoughts?
No, don't think so. I'm also glad we don't get more caves, because I think we have plenty of caves in this show. So That seems wise. I like the fieldy episodes too. They have some scenery.
That's funny. Yeah, because there are a lot of underground caves, and hilariously, Lower Decks just did an episode called Caves, and it's just like them remembering all these different cave stories that they had, where it's the same. It looks like the same set over and over and over.
Oh
and over.
my god! Yeah, that's funny.
And
that's
it's canon.
Good.
Lower Decks is completely canon.
I know. Oh, delightful.
Yeah. Anyway.
All caves look alike, man. It's just the same crinkled up paper at the end of the day.
Well, that is it. Please join us next time when we go deep on a molten heap called the Horda. We're talking the devil in the dark. Until then, I am
once again glad you made it rhyme.
Yeah, I tried. Until then, live long, prosper, Jolon true.
Eat a dick, plank on a clit, all the things. It came back. It came back for you.
Just like every elongated planking clit ever does.
That's how it works.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Roberson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.